All right, what's up?
All right. I think we're ready, guys. We are ready. We ready.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Dynamic 7 Conversations Unfiltered podcast. This is episode 8, and we will be highlighting 50 years of hip hop through the decades. So let's get to it. The Dynamic Seven, who are we? We are a selected group of 7 individuals that is truly divinely connected for a purpose. And we're showing up for that purpose right now. We formed our podcast at the end of 2023, and here we are with Conversations Unfiltered, podcast episode 8. I am Coach Trina by way of Hotlanta, ATL. The other dynamic 7 are Ramia, Rose, Prince, Tori, Christopher, and Lawrence. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome,
Hello.
welcome.
Welcome.
Hey, how you?
Welcome, welcome,
Thank
welcome.
you. Welcome.
Glad you all are here.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
guys
So I
for
hope the
joining us.
panelists all scared. We all scared.
Well,
Come
look,
on,
We
we're
man.
got this,
doing
Rose.
it. We on
Don't do that,
We got
episode
this,
Rose.
8,
Rose.
y'all. We definitely are doing it. We welcome our guests and appreciate everyone for joining in, listening in, whether you are here with us on Discord, YouTube. We really do appreciate you. So, episode 8, we're going to dive into 50 years of hip hop through the decades. And we are excited because this music is our hearts and we all love music. So, we have a few guests with us right now, and I'll get into introducing guest number 1. And guest number 1, Ishi Light. Ishi began formal dance training at age 2. She has an array of dancing experience ranging from ballet, hip hop, African jazz, tap, lyrical, acrobatics. I mean, she is just a beautiful soul in her own right. She is an Atlanta native. In the entertainment industry, she is known as a singer, dancer, choreographer, and songwriter. She is an original member of 2-time Grammy winning group Arrested Development. She joined the group at age 13 and has brought light and energy to stages across the world. Welcome, Ishi Light, to Conversations Unfiltered.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be with you guys. Thank you so much. And that was such a beautiful intro. Thank you, Coach Rita.
Of course, you are welcome. Okay, so our next guest who is on with us, Soph Kev, and please forgive me if I am not pronouncing that correctly. But Ramil, we can jump into introducing our next artist.
Hey y'all, thank y'all for tuning into our podcast. We got my boy Soul Kev. I know him for a very long time. Um, he just finished his EP. He's finna drop. He's doing so good on his music. It sounds great. But Kev, you could unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Tell them what you got going on.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight? On this Sunday night. Um, I really do appreciate Ramir, my boy. I've been knowing for a while for
It's
inviting me up
middle
here.
school. Let's go way back.
Yeah, since middle school days. But I am an artist. I'm from Florida, but I grew up in Georgia, and I'm an upcoming artist. And I love music, and I've been doing it for a minute. And thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast. I really do appreciate y'all.
And we definitely appreciate you. We appreciate you for joining us. Okay, so our next guest is Maya. And Prince will jump into the introduction for Maya. So I'll go ahead and get into it. Maya is 33 years young, a mom living in Arizona, and she has been singing and rapping since 9 years old. She started with poetry and then it led to rapping. She did take some time off to focus on her child's dream, but now she is back. She's on the music scene and she is recording in the studio and working on her next video. So, Maya, we definitely want to welcome you to Conversations Unfiltered podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, and we do appreciate you for joining us. So,
Thank you.
y'all, you are welcome. So, y'all, let's go ahead and get into it and let's jump into this big highlight of music and hip hop. 50 years of hip hop on August 11th, 1973, as the story goes. DJ Kool Herc of the Bronx is slated to have started hip hop. And by just playing records and scratching over those records, and it is said that is the birth of hip hop from the Bronx. And in the 70s, in 1973, um, it was a rap beat, it was some scratching. It grew into a culture of dancing, of breakdancing, into graffiti. And then, of course, we know fashion just took off. I mean, it just really just took off with the fashion world as well. Hip hop has made an unbelievable mark on the world. Um, and who would have thought from that time in the 70s in 1973 to where we are now? We're going to go through those decades. But in the 70s, it was, again, a lot of breakdancing turned into graffiti. When we think of the songs from back then, I started laughing because I was looking at the different songs, and Dance to the Drummer's Beat came out in 1978, and we know that song has been remade over the course of the years. When we look at the artists, we think of the Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash, and the Furious Five, the Rocksteady Crew, because we cannot leave them out. I mean, with the breakdancing, they really are the epitome of breakdancing. Curtis Blow, and of course, Kool Herc, who is the founding father of hip hop. So let's get into this discussion of the beginning of hip hop in the 70s and shed some light on that. And let's get you all's take on that from the beginning of hip hop.
If nobody else will go, I just kind of think it's cool how a music genre completely got started just by, for lack of a better term, kind of messing up the way a beat was supposed to go. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. And when
It's
you
kind of
think
interesting.
of it is kind of interesting because the formation of that genre of music, to just say it just started with, a record playing and then, you know, just to scratch over a record and then here's this new sound evolving and then to turn around into um say a rap over
Sample.
that. Yeah. It's really an iconic moment in history from the 70s. And again, like it probably was by accident and just saying, "Oh, let's see how this sounds," and then who knows if it became just a cool beat. And then emceeing, it was just a birth of, and I'm grateful for it, but just truly a birth of a culture that, has evolved.
I totally agree with you.
Right, because I remember my mom talking about Grandmaster Flash and the Sugar Hill Gang coming up. So to sit and listen to some of that and be like, wow, like this is where hip hop came from, like is really remarkable.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's something that was most definitely needed. It just kind of came at a really good time. I think that there were so many different genres of music and everything. And I think the creativity, just to have the creativity to create this magic like this, and it, creates jobs for people. It creates, people are able to take care of their families. I mean, I think it's one of the best things that happened for sure in the past 5 decades. Like, just to be able to create this and watch this, magically just start from out of nowhere. I just think that's amazing, and just to be a part of it, it's part of history to me. It's just, it's just mind blowing.
Me personally think that is more in depth. I mean, this was a way to get away from or even express where you came from. I mean, if
True.
you was in uh living on out Section 8 government cheese, stuff like that. It was an outlet for them. It was a way for them to speak what's going on in a way where everyone could relate. Let's be real. Everyone related to, struggling, working 2 to 3 jobs
Mhm.
and it just so happened that they created a foundation that just is still thriving. I mean, now look,
Right.
we're celebrating it now. I
Mhm.
mean, again, what Miss Katrina said from scratching to sampling, and then again, I mean, when I was watching the hip hop awards, they even mentioned the fact of, the music, the saxophone, the drums, the bass, and now you can do all that from a computer instead of back then you actually use it, but it's just so much in depth that it's to me, if I like it's relatable. It helps me
Right.
to someone's connecting with me. You might not live in my area or my city, but I mean, I feel where you coming from. I'm dealing with the same thing. So I
Mhm.
think it was an outlet. A
Absolutely.
good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a good one. I like how you worded that, Rose. An outlet and a form of expression. Because looking back at the songs, then, Rapper's Delight, I mean, it was a form of expression and it was describing your environment and your surroundings and what you saw during that era and really making it rhyme. So, an art form as well. Um, but a form of expression, I like how you put that because that's what art is. And they put it into a rap.
Yeah.
And then and so the birth of hip hop, and I'm grateful for it because I truly love it. I love hip hop.
I do too. I think it
I
had
do
a
too.
yeah. I think
I really do.
I think it had a great. I think it served its purpose. It's serving its purpose in a lot of good ways that are providing, opportunities for people. And that's and along with, music is to me. It's just like I can wake up every day and listen to something and it'll make my day. So I don't think there's nobody that it's a part of everyone's life. So it's almost like a necessity. And I'm glad we have hip hop too because it's basically raised a lot of kids, had a lot of families, kids, and babies off of not only hip hop, but that that genre. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. It created um, various avenues of prosperity. And as we close up the 70s decade, I just want to highlight the release of Rapper to Light by the Sugar Hill Gang, which was released September 16th, 1979, and which that was the first commercially successful hip hop song. Um, from 1979. And we all know Rapper's Delight. I mean, it still goes hard in the clubs. Anywhere you put that on, everybody knows it. And everyone is singing a hip hop, a hippity hippity. Like everyone starts singing that song. And to just know that from, wow, 1979, and that becoming at that time the first commercially successful hip hop song And you're right, Prince, it's a true classic, a true classic. And that being the first commercially successful hip hop song, it is not the first hip hop recorded song, but the first commercially successful hip hop song. And so it really opened up that door. It opened up the gateway for the 80s era, which we are getting ready to dive into the 80s.
But what you before we dive, but that's crazy
Hmm.
how you mentioned if I go to a cookout right now, I don't care how
Hmm.
old you are, you could be 60 years old, 20, 19. As soon as that song play, everybody is getting up, the uncles, the aunties, the granny, everybody. So I love the fact that everyone can come together no matter what age you are.
Absolutely,
Right,
Rose.
because when you hear that to the hip to the hip to the hip hop, you don't stop but rock it to the bang bang. I'm just saying, like you can't help but get up and juke.
Yeah, we all grew
That's
up on
right.
that.
Nobody's sitting down when that song comes on for sure. So let's hear it for
But
the good
all
old
right.
70s.
Most definitely.
The good old 70s
Right,
decade.
right. All right, so let's take a dive into the vibrant and influential world of 80s hip hop. This era marked a significant turning point in the history of music, shaping the genre as we know it today. Let's take a trip down memory lane and explore the highlights of this iconic era. One of the defining features of 80s hip hop was the emergence of talented artists who paved the way for future generations, from the energetic performance of Run DMC to the poetic lyrics of Rakim. These artists brought a fresh and unique sound to the scene. The 80s hip hop era also saw the rise of influential groups like NWA and Public Enemy, who used their music as platforms to address social issues and advocate for a change. Their powerful messages resonated with listeners and sparked important conversations about race, inequality, and justice. Another aspect that made the 80s hip hop era so special was the innovative use of sampling and beat making. Producers like DJ Premier and Marley Marl pushed the boundaries of music production, creating infectious beats that are still celebrated today. Let's not forget the iconic fashion and style that defined the 80s hip hop era. From Kango hats to oversized gold chains, artists embraced a unique and bold aesthetic that became synonymous with the genre. The 80s hip hop era was a time of creativity, self expression, and cultural revolution. It laid the foundation for the hip hop movement that continues to thrive today. But before I end there, let's talk about the female rappers and celebrate their incredible talent and impact of these trailblazing women. First off, we have the iconic Queen Latifah. With her empowering lyrics and strong presence, Queen Latifah paved the way for future generations of female artists. Her hits like Ladies First and UNITY continue to inspire and uplift listeners to this day. Next, let's talk about the legendary Salt and Pepper. This dynamic duo brought a fresh and bold sound to the rap scene with their hits like Push It and Shoot. Their infectious energy and unapologetic attitude made them instant favorites amongst fans. Another influential figure from the 80s is MC Light. Known for her smooth flow and thought provoking lyrics, MC Light broke barriers and became the first solo female rapper to release a full length album. Her tracks like Cha 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 and Paper Thin showcased her undeniable talent. We cannot forget about Roxanne Shante, who burst into the scene with her hit diss track, Roxanne's Revenge. Her fierce rhymes and quick wit made her a force to be reckoned with in the male dominated rap industry. Lastly, we have the talented duo JJ Fad. Their catchy track, Supersonic, became an instant sensation and showcased their unique style and playful lyrics. And these are just a few of the incredible female rappers who made their mark in the 80s. Their contribution to the music industry cannot be overstated, and their influence is still felt today. And I'm an 80s baby myself, so a lot of these female rappers and a lot of these artists I did grow up hearing in my household. I do feel like the 80s, just like the 70s, had a great influence on the rap industry, the hip hop industry today. But that's just my opinion, and we gonna get y'all opinion. How do y'all feel about the 80s rap era?
The
I
women
think it
took
was a great
over.
time.
So we start.
I think it was a great time
That
though.
part.
A whole lot of people were definitely in my house when I was a kid.
Facts.
All of them.
I'm an '80s baby too, so I feel you, Tori, on that one.
People still wearing gold chains to this day. People be switching out diamonds for gold.
I have gold chains on. Well, actually, there's silver chains on at the
Right.
moment.
Plain Jane.
I just remember my mom walking around with that asymmetrical haircut with the blonde and the black, like
Oh my
Bob.
goodness.
Come on now, Tori. I had that in
Like,
high
and
school.
and the leotard, and the leotard with the scrunchy socks and her little high top Reeboks. Like, you couldn't tell my mama nothing. Like, and I remember the British Knights, the BKs. Like, oh
Oh
my
my
god, the fashion
God.
in the
I had a
'80s
pair of
like
those.
was hitting. Like,
When
Me
you
too.
said British
I'm so
Knights, oh my goodness, why did
yeah,
I even forget I had a pair
me
of
too.
those?
I had flashbacks
And
instantly.
yeah, I did too. And the 80s to me was
Yeah.
so significant because that was the introduction of hip hop for me. But it was just like you said, Tori, the women reigned supreme. MC Light, Queen Latifah, Salt and Pepper, Roxanne Shante, they were really making a mark in hip hop and making a sound. I mean, how many Roxannes did we have? The real Roxanne, um, and just their battling, between the Roxannes. It was like fun music. It was, of course, um, new, around that time. But it was fun music because we were dancing. We were looking at the videos and like, okay, I need to get that outfit, and that's what I'm going to be wearing to the skate ring.
right.
Um, you know what I'm saying? So it was really, and man, a significant time and decade for hip hop.
It just feel I just seen it. It just seems like the female rap artists were they were more positive. I don't know how to put it, but like it's female rap artists from then till now. It's like totally different.
I agree. I mean, I agree in a way. They were more themselves. They weren't really like they were more vocal. Like they was worried about what they put down on paper, they lyrics more than even more than fashion a little bit. I
They'll
mean,
be more creative.
but yeah, more creative. So I agree with you when it comes to that. I also feel like when it came to the 80s, like not only did it influence more than just our culture, it hit to the supermodels. Like I want to say her name correctly, but I'm scared that I might not. It's off the top of my head. Um Is it Cindy Crawford? Listen, it'll come to my head eventually. But I feel like it also, when it came to celebrities back then, they were looking at, okay, look how hip hop is. I want to dress like that. I want to act like that. I want to have my hairstyle like that. Stuff. Madonna was wearing her hair like that. It's true. I mean, she was. Yeah, I'm not saying she was copying, but I'm just saying that it was a influence on just everyone.
Yeah, it was truly an
I
influence
agree
because
with
it
you.
was fun music.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny because we were having a conversation during the making of this particular episode, and we was up late, like really late that night, and we were talking about the different the different eras, like the Queen Latifahs, and the messages that they had, and the message. Like I was just it randomly popped up on my playlist, and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot this. Like it just reminded me of how different things were back then, as far as like the story that they tell, and just the different vibes that they put off. So we had some gangster rap, but it was more balanced because we had some positive, raps and roles. I think that's what you were saying. It was just different. It was like storylines. It was
Right.
more to it than what it is now. And with
They,
respect to the rap now, I get it,
Right.
but it's just.
they,
They use their platform for things to like they said, inequality, justice. Like they
Hmm.
use that influence that they had for their communities. Like we're gonna speak on police brutality. We're gonna speak on, you know, things that the world needs to hear about. It's totally different.
Right. Right.
ladies first. I mean, stop, calling us, I mean, excuse my language, not trying to curse, but Queen Latifah said it better. Like it was really speaking up, not just for how we doing, how we living, but for us, like stop calling us outside of our names. You need to be treated. We need to be treated better. Like I
Mhm.
love that whole thing. And Grace Jones is who I was trying to say earlier. I said it was gonna kind of tell me, but Grace Jones, like I remember all of that. I used to watch Queen Latifah. I mean, even when it was, what was her show in Living Color? No, Lord have mercy, wrong one.
Living single.
Living
Living
single.
single.
Living
Living
single.
Yeah.
single. I was one of them kids that was glued to the TV because it was Queen Latifah.
Hmm.
I listened to everything about her. I mean, the whole dashiki, the whole. I mean, my grandmother had me and my aunt dressing alike, and the whole. I said, Lord have mercy, but I love the impact they had.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that we were talking about that, and I said if they can do anything different, it would be nice to have it a little bit more balanced. Music, musically, with just a little bit of a maybe like an old school, older touch with positive music. I know they have the Commons and different artists out here, but if I can add anything to this generation right now, when it comes to hip hop, I would most definitely add that element, like more positive, positive type music. Everybody can have the music now. It's good, but it would be nice to have a better balance, in my opinion.
For it to have a better balance, we need more creativity. That's what we need more of. We
Yes,
need more creativity.
absolutely. Creativity, most definitely more creativity.
It's really lacking for it.
Yes,
It's like,
Yeah,
oh, I
because
got a fan base, so I'm finna just put this out because my fans gonna like it anyway.
right. Is there anyone want to add to that?
Yeah, I really think that a lot of artists need to come out their comfort zone. They kind of stay in the box where they used to, and I feel like a lot of the times, when you so used to doing something, you keep doing it. And I feel like to be better as an artist, you got to come out your comfort zone, do stuff that you probably not comfortable doing, but
Hmm.
like
Hmm. That's true. That is a good point too.
Yep, I agree.
Yes, that is a good
For
point.
real.
We need more leaders
Exactly.
and not followers,
Yeah,
basically.
I was
We
There
just
you
need
gonna
go.
more
say that.
leaders and not followers. We like you said, we need them to get out of their comfort zone and start thinking for themselves. Like, okay, just stop making music because you think it's gonna sell. Speak from
Right,
your heart. Speak your truth.
right.
That's the problem these days. And most of them, or well, I won't say most of them, but a lot of them don't do that anymore.
Yes,
It's like it's kind of like they've lost sight of themselves almost.
Yeah, a lot of people make music based on what they think is gonna sell and what's gonna get numbers rather than actually putting out
Right.
what they
right.
feel like you said or what's going on with them or what's going on in the world, stuff like that.
And I think
Exactly.
I seen a message with King T. Speaking of which, King T, welcome to the show. Um, he said, it was a message saying that people need to be. I think it maybe need to be more generic and stop trying to be like everybody else. Which
Exactly.
was a very true point as well.
They
I
need to be
think,
more authentic for sure.
yeah, more authentic. I think
Yes,
that's
and
very
we don't need 500 Nicki Minaj, 500 Cardi B's, 500 Meek Mills, 500 Little Wayne's, 500 Drake.
Right.
right.
We don't need
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. But you know that's the influence though. So you look at like from the 80s era with KRS-One from Boogie Down Productions, Public Enemy, like you saw the influence and there were more, self-awareness songs. And then just as you said, Rose, it's so many of certain types of artists now because it's the influence. Um, and it's just that I guess evolving of from then to now is just a big influence, and it has a huge influence because everybody wants to do it.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
it
the ways.
get it. I get it, Miss Katrina. And I totally agree. It's the influence. It's a good influence, but that's just like saying, uh, Miss Katrina, you, for example, you influenced me to be a better role model. Um, that means I'm just going to step my game up. I'm not going to mimic everything you do. I'm just taking some pointers from you and watching you and observing you. But I'm going to take that and change that into my personality. I'm gonna bring me out, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yes, that
Yes,
makes
that
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 makes,
makes
makes 100%
yeah,
sense.
that makes a lot of
Correct.
sense.
Yep, it
It,
sure does.
but that's
yeah.
Well
sometimes
spoken.
because artists these days they probably just have a hard time like finding their own sound, or even if they is influenced by artists, they just feel like they can't stay in their lane and try to tell their story with that influence at the same time. Because they
Mhm.
see, oh, he sounds like this person, it's gonna give me sales. I sound like this person, they gonna make us look like we're the same people, and we could start a beef right there. Who's the better person? Like that uses the sound like it just continues.
Mhm. That is true. That is true. Anyone else have an opinion or a feeling about it, or want to chime in about this? The 80s.
All right. Well, that looks like we have come to the end of the 80s era. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to the 90s era.
All right then. Well, let's get into this 90s era. Um, the 90s era, as we all can say, was the golden age. And it is described as the golden age of rap. Um, in the 1990s, hip hop experienced its golden age with the emergence of a plethora of rappers who left a remarkable mark in that genre of music. The 90s can be described as a time of change and evolution for rap, transitioning from a marginalized music genre to one of the most popular and we can say lucrative in the world from the 90s era. The 90s was a time of creativity, immense creativity, and innovation in rap music. It was featuring the emergence of many artists that have left a lasting legacy in popular culture. In the 90s, the pioneers of the 90s rap were artists who shaped that decade, definitely like defining the sound, style of that style of genre of music to last throughout generations. And it can sometimes be described as the most impactful time because when we think about artists, like we say, what's your favorite artist? Tupac is going to be in everyone's top five. And we're talking about artists in the 90s who left an everlasting effect on the world. Thus, the 90s of hip hop characterized as the golden age or the golden era. So, some of these artists, let's talk about some of the artists. Of course, we have Tupac, Notorious B.I.G. We have rappers like Tribe Called Quest, and we still love their music today. Going to Chicago, we have Common. We have some songs that are still etched in our minds, from Diggable Planet, some cool like that. And so, you know, we are still singing these songs. The Fugees, um, one of my favorite groups, Wu Tang. So there's so many groups that left their stamp. And so we do have a guest on because we do have a group that everyone knows and left their stamp on the world, and that is Arrested Development. And I know Arrested Development really put me into this dance groove and dance move for the 90s. So we do have Ishi Light on joining us. And Ishi, if you wouldn't mind going into your journey in hip hop in the 90s and your experiences.
Greetings, everyone. How y'all doing?
Hey, hey,
We
hey.
doing good. We doing good. How you doing?
Hey.
Hey, how you
Hello.
doing?
Great.
We're
Hello.
glad you're here. We're glad you're
Thank
here.
Yay.
thank
I'm
you for
so happy
joining
to
us.
be with you guys. Thank you
Hello,
so much.
hello.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
for having
yes,
us.
yes. So, a couple of things I want to touch on before I get into my era of music. So, I want to give a huge shout out to MC Rock. She was the first female rapper. They call her the mother of pretty much hip hop. Um, she came out, the group was formed in what, 76? And they had the song That's the Joint. And she is so dope. So a lot of people don't give her credit for her position. She was before Queen Latifah, before a lot of the people that we love. I love Queen Latifah. I grew up on her. So I want to give out a shout out to MC Rock. He also shared the stage with me at the 50-year Grammy salute of 50 years of hip hop celebration that just happened. It was aired on December 10th, 2023. If you didn't see it, definitely go back and check it out. It was amazing. So y'all definitely check into MC Rock. So she was Funky 4+1. She was part of that group. So I want to say that also too, the conversation about when you guys were speaking about artists, the difference between then and now. So the first of all, the difference was we had record labels. First of all, it started in the, hip hop started in the streets in New York. It was a way for people to have a voice. So as creatives, it comes out in different ways through dance, graffiti, the MC, the DJ, and that's how it all started. And it evolved to what we see today. But it was always something for the people, and it was a voice for the people, for the youth. It was a movement. And I think we've gotten away from that in some aspects. Also, too, you had labels back then that actually would do artist development on artists. They don't do artist development anymore. I personally do artist development. I work with a lot of artists, but they don't do those things anymore. Whether you got media training, if you were an artist, they wanted you to be different for the next artist. That's what put you in your own lane, because from Slick Rick to Dougie Fresh, nobody sounded alike, to LL to, MC Light to Queen Latifah to MC Shan. I mean, everybody was different and it was celebrated. And I think that because now we have the social media is a blessing and a curse. To me, it gives a lot of artists a false sense of I've arrived. But it's a difference between holding somebody's attention for 30 seconds or a minute versus an hour, 30 minutes or 2 hours on stage. That's why you see such a resurgence now of a lot of old school artists or old hip hop artists or artists in all genres. They're coming out and they're doing amazing tours and they're selling out because we were trained differently. We used to practice 8 hours a day. Now, most people don't practice at all. Or if they do, they put in very minimal hours. So now, in this, just is my belief, I believe that mediocrity has become the new excellence. So people
That's
don't,
good.
they don't,
Wow.
they what's mediocre, what was mediocre to us is excellent to a lot of people now because they don't know honestly what greatness is. You know what I'm saying? So I say that we need to get back to, I think it's the internet and the things has a lot of beautiful things. You can reach a lot of people, at one time, but also it's a blessing and a curse. It's how you use it. And I think we need to adopt some of the old ways and then adopt some of the new ways and put them together. And just celebrate individuality and people being themselves. And, it's just so much has changed in the industry now. And it actually makes me sad sometimes because it's very one-sided. It's not a lot of balance in the mainstream. It's a lot of great artists out here, but you have to go search them. And then also a lot of U.S. artists or people in the United States, we tend to be very minded when it comes to, oh, US, but it's a whole nother world out here. You got Japanese artists, you got African artists on the whole continent and from different countries. You got people in Europe, you got people in Bali, I mean, just Indonesia, all over the world, just doing music that's really, really dope. You know what I mean? But we tend to, if it's not popping in America, it's not popping. You know what I mean? so, so I just wanted to say that before I got into how I got into the industry.
I agree. I agree.
And I
So
do
I
yeah.
agree
appreciate
with
you sharing that.
Yes, yes, yes. And so how I started, so my mother owned a dance school called the Gaither School of Dance. I started when I was 2 years old dancing. My mom was the first Black owned dance school in the state of Georgia. I'm from Atlanta. I'm a true Georgia peach. I grew up in the
Mhm.
SWATs. CeeLo Green was one of my mom's students. She taught a lot of people. He took tap and jazz from her. Also, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the dope producer. He produces a female MC called Cyrock. She's so dope. His name is Soul Messiah. He also took dance from my mom. So my mom was like a staple here. Her dance school was a staple here in Georgia. And so I've been dancing all my life. So fast forward, I first started dancing behind local artists. One of the local artists here in Atlanta was called Sammy Sam the Hitman. That was the first artist I danced behind, and I would do shows and performances like at Greenbrier Mall, all the different malls around Georgia with my mom's dance school. So I got the opportunity. Arrested Development was formed in like the late 80s. Speech and Headliner. They were in at the Arts Institute in Atlanta in college. I was in the 8th grade. And this guy by the name of Ian Burke, and if y'all don't know who Ian Burke is, definitely research him. Ian Burke is responsible for Escape getting the deal, TLC, Arrested Development. He really had his hands on everybody. If you were a big artist back during that time, he had something to do with it. So he reached out to my sister, and I'm the young